Holding alive for voice auditions, and somebody offered to do an Asian accent.
So first, follow that creator. What they're doing is just ambitious as hell. They're casting 2,500 people. Oh my god, casting 25 people would be nuts. So, but we're talking about authentic voices, and so this was something I've really pushed for on CSGO, but also on my own game, the Anacrusis. So in the Anacrusis, we have native speakers of the different nationalities. And while the reality is way in the future, what other nationality is going to sound like, and they're going to be all watered down, and yeah, sure. But I wanted to have Nessa have an accent that represented from where she was from. And we found a actress who could do that. Now it was actually pretty hard. There's not a lot of female actresses of that age with Indian descent that have, I don't want like a super strong accent, but just that hint of it, right? And that's what she does. And that's how she natively speaks, normally speaks. And that's what she brings into the game. And I really like it. The character is roughly based on Kalapana Chawla. I'm probably killing that name. A astronaut from Indian descent who died in the Columbia disaster. All of the characters in Anacrusis kind of pull from something historical. Just I'm big fan of space. But so for CSGO, we had this other problem is we have a bunch of different characters and they're from all around the world, right? And so we first started casting and we were just getting people doing, hey, the French guy or whatever, like that's an Italian guy, who knows, right? The spicy meatball, that's a spicy grenade. And it's just like comically bad. So it's like, why don't we reach out to all of our localizers from the areas, right? They're all in the areas that we're going to do and have them cast local actors and we'll do it. Now, this is a good idea. The bad idea is we also let them have a local director there to help kind of massage through the things. The local directors around the world, no matter how much time we said it, kept telling them not to speak in their native tongue. And we kept saying, yes, no, their native tongue, right? Because CSGO and Counter-Strike, those words are almost like VFX, right? They're not real what they are. They're just sound effects, and you learn them after a while. And if they're speaking another language, you're going to learn what that is after a while because you play that map so much with those characters. And they wouldn't do it. They just kept, oh my God. And so there's some degree of success. There's some mixing in because the reality is when stuff's hitting the fan, you're gonna blurt out stuff and you're gonna yell stuff, and it's often gonna be in your native tongue, even if you're trying to speak to another to an English speaker. And so I kind of wanted to capture some of that, and also, as I've said before, in these kind of combat situations, is everybody kind of sounds the same if they're not if they're not the police. The police sound like the a-holes, but everybody else is just yelling and screaming. And hey, once you start shooting people, I guess the quorum goes out the door. But so we wanted to capture that. Where it got weird, and I'm going to admit, is that game comes from we have characters from different places, and one of them is called a terrorist. And for that character, we cast them from someone from Beirut. It's a really good local actor, but was confused on some of the things. And one of the things he just asked me very nicely was, as he plans to bomb, because right, you have to every side, police, FBI, they all plant bombs and they'll defuse bombs, including this character. And he just asked me if he was the good guy or the bad guy. And I said, well, it depends on your perspective. And that was awkward. And that whole session kind of had that awkwardness to it of I think I renamed the character for him in that because it was just too much. And that's that realization of like you realize you're an adult acting like a 14-year-old boy or something. I don't know, half my life that way. But so we tried to do it that way because we wanted to capture that and have that tone, even if they are speaking English. They're using different words. SAS was really great. He was really great of just kind of ad libbing because I always try to encourage ad libbing and just kind of not have it be not just my words making up. Because again, remember I said research, and this was really hard. That was a lot of research I had to do for those characters in a very short time, and they're not really doing deep stuff. But even just what they yelled. The only other weird thing in CS:GO is if they talk about what was it? Will I think will is code for religion because they don't want to talk about religion because people are already getting weird about some of the stuff I was doing. So we didn't want to have them talking all about religion because half the people who shoot at you are got some kind of bug up their butt about somebody in the sky. Not me. But right, so I use that instead. So if you hear them talking about will, that's what it is. And I forgot what the word I think that was the big one because the other one's about land, because that's the other thing people fight about, right? And I think I mainly said land. That was okay to say. It is weird writing for games like that where you don't want to actually own the baggage for what you are and really just want to make it a sport more than talking about what those things are about. And how we talk about those things in 1997 are very different than we talked about them in 2017. But we had that baggage of all of that, right? Because Cliff just did the original voices for all of them. In fact, I think somebody thought I was just doing just one voice for all of them as well again. But I was like, well, no, that doesn't seem right. And characters are more than that. And if we ever want to do something more with these characters, we should build them out more than that. I don't know if it's successful or not. I'll go back and forth on that one myself. You can tell me if not, and it's okay if you say that it wasn't, and I'll be like, sorry, I tried. But you try by using, excuse me, the natural voices and not have somebody like, don't do a French guy. Like it, we always say like, right, like people of color will pull out and people will be like, oh look, they're oversensitive. No. French dude. I love French dude could be a person of color as well, but like don't do a French dude. Don't do like a Swedish dude. They're Swedish dude. Just have somebody from Sweden, if you can get them to talk, because they're very quiet people. Uh, get them to talk, and then they'll do it in their accent. And they'll have their little bit of flair, right? And that's what you want to have. That's what you want to bring. And again, you do that not because you want diversity in the game for the sake of like, oh, I got some. It's you want that because you want to have those different ranges of voices, those different sounds of voices, and those different characters, right? That all brings it at the core. Everything else on top of that is a cherry on top. So when I hear people complaining about this, you're missing the point. It's making your game better. You're just too. So I know. Okay, I didn't mean to rail on that again, but really is this trying to cast 2,500 people. I was just thinking about that, of like that's just crazy. And then what you really want to do is you don't want to get anybody to do a voice. You want them just to be who they are, because if you ever have to go back and do pickups, you want them to be who they are. And that was we did that with all the characters that I've ever done. Um, Even I think Eric Layden, who's what's his face from Left 4 Dead 2, is Ellis. God, my God, my brain's slipping. Like that's even his voice, right? He has a little bit of Texan in him. So yeah, you want that. You want that. Oh, I should be clear. I don't necessarily want Texas.